Today we are going to be reading a Wattpad story called Shrek X Bread with my lovely platonic sister here, Chloe.
Hi.
I'm going to be reading her this bedtime story.
Yes, because it's like, what time is it at night?
It's like 10:29 at night. It's just about 10:30. And so yeah, I'm going to be reading her a bedtime story. So Chloe, eat your brownie and
With this crusty, dusty, musty looking rat called a Furby that's like a yellow banana, basically. He looks like a yellow banana and he's really long and hairy.
Yeah.
It's kind of sus, but...
Yeah, he stares at you while you sleep. Anyway.
It's true.
Bread's POV. The loaf of bread sat in the kitchen, waiting to be sliced and put in the toaster. He looked around the room, wondering what kind of person lived in this house.
Right.
It was small, huddled in the middle of a swamp. The smell would be unbearable for most, but this particular loaf of bread likes the smell of onions and rotten liver. Suddenly, the door was slammed open, and the loaf of bread heard a loud shout, "What are you doing in my swamp?"
Oh my god. Girl be smoking a little too much. I'm just kidding. Girl just on her Cheeto balls coughing fit.
The loaf of bread was curious. Who could have such a beautiful voice? Was this the owner of this home? Would he eat the loaf of bread? Would he slice him up and put him in the burning toaster?
Hey, yo, pause. What?
The fact I read it like that. The loaf of bread was excited to see what this mysterious creature would do to him.
Shrek's my husband. You better stay away, Bread, before I fight you.
All of a sudden, the creature...
I can't open this. Yeah, I'm so aggressive.
Don't ask me. I was also aggressive with that Kool-Aid thing over at DeAndre's. I can't open this either. My hands are sweaty. You're going to have to stir.
Ah!
You're going to have to stir.
It's okay. I have teeth.
The loaf of bread was excited to see what this mysterious creature would do to him. All of a sudden, the creature walked into the room, and the loaf of bread finally saw the face of... I have to go to the second chapter. Because
it's crusty, musty, dusty looking my husband. Shrek.
An ogre. Alright, and then I'm going to do a separate video for chapter 2. So I'm going to see y'all later. Bye. So we are back for chapter 2 with, again, Chloe, because I'm reading her a bedtime story in around...
About crusty, dusty, musty looking bread that's trying to steal my husband, Shrek.
Yeah, Shrek X Bread. And it's like 10:30 at night right now on a Saturday night with my long Furby that was like $90. Anyways, let's get to the story.
It's a crusty, musty looking banana.
Yeah. And if you hear any noise like that in the background, that's Chloe eating her brownies.
Oh my god, I got it open finally.
Her crusty brownies.
Okay, they're crusty, musty, dusty. They don't really taste good, but they're
food.
They're edible. And I'm hungry.
They're food. The loaf of bread knew it. This was the most beautiful creature it had ever seen. The loaf of bread blushed, self-conscious about his one true love seeing it in his home, not knowing how it got there. Of course it knew that Shrek wouldn't care how it looked. He knew that they were soulmates. It was a love at first sight. The loaf of bread couldn't help but imagine their wedding day, with all of its friends weeping seeing the loaf of bread get married to its one true love. "Stop it," the bread thought to itself. "You just met him. You can't be picturing your wedding day already." But the bread couldn't help it, seeing Shrek in his fabulous wedding gown, all of his friends, croissants, the donuts, maybe even his brother Rye Bread might show up. And of course, he can't forget Shrek's family too. Donkey, Puss in Boots, and his ex-wife Fiona. It would be perfect. Shrek would become the loaf of bread's husband, and they would live happily ever after in a small hovel in the swamp. Hey guys, so today we are back for chapter 3 of Shrek X Bread with, again, Chloe. Because, again, like we said in the last 2 chapters, I am reading her a bedtime story with her brownies. They don't taste that good, but they're edible.
Yeah, they taste like dirt, along with a burnt, really processed type of brownie.
And in my $90 for long Furby for banana.
Not gonna lie, this is actually kind of making me a little bit tired.
Okay. Shrek's POV. Shrek was angry. He had spent all day trying to get Lord Farquaad to leave him alone. Lord Farquaad kept coming to his house to try and convince him to be the best friends. Shrek didn't need a best friend. He was fine on his own. He didn't need anyone.
Ew, that classic musty looking ass rat called Farquaad. Ew, bro is a midget. I want to be friends with him. He's also an F boy. No one wants to date him. He ugly, musty, crusty, looking like a rat.
Is he like that one? Is he like that one anime character from My Hero Academia?
Moneta?
Yeah.
He's worse than Moneta.
Okay. That's all we need to know.
Because we know Moneta can't get laid.
He didn't need anyone. That's what he kept telling himself after being bullied back in high school. He didn't think anyone would ever want to be friends with him. Much less anyone would ever want to be friends. Anyone would ever want to be with him, much less be friends with him. When he met Fiona, he thought that changed. He could finally trust someone who loved him for who he is, someone who loved him no matter what, or at least that's what he thought. He would never forget the day he found Fiona cheating on him, the day he walked into the door and saw her on the bed, making out with the one and only Donkey.
She made out with a furry.
Donkey looked at Shrek straight in the eyes. He could see the anger building up inside of him. Get out of my swamp.
Damn, boy, be aggressive. Chill out, boy.
Donkey quickly skedaddled out of there, and Shrek finally made eye contact with his once lover. That was aggressive. She looked at him with worried eyes in fear that Shrek would never forgive her. Shrek, she said quietly,
I slap her.
almost a whisper. He looked at her in the eye, trying to stay strong as he held back tears. You hurt me, Fiona. Get out of my swamp.
Oh my god, I would slap her so hard that she'd be flying to the moon.
And she'd be going all the way to Jupiter.
Yeah, I'm gonna be crying. I call her a musty, dusty looking ass rat with that looks like a hoe as well. A hoey rat. A hoe-shaped rat that has nothing good to live for, and smack her all the way to the moon, and she can live on the moon like the man on the moon. Yep, that eats cheese all day.
She slowly made her way to the door and looked back at him a final time before leaving. Shrek sat down in the chair and finally let the tears roll down his face. He would never forget how he felt that moment, and sure as heck would never forgive her for what she did. Now that he was living on his own with no ring on his left hand, he was lonely. Sometimes he wishes he had forgiven her. Granted, she was a courtesan, They were happy together. They could have a tiny ogre children playing in the swamp together. And someday they would have children making Shrek a grandfather.
Ew, no one wants to be a granddaddy.
Trying to get the thought of his ex-wife out of his mind, he went to the kitchen to make some food. Little did he know his wife was about to change for the better. When he stepped into the kitchen, he finally saw it. The anime object that would change his life. Shrek ran over to the loaf of bread. He didn't remember putting it there. Did the bread break into his house? Was his a blessing from God? Wherever it was, Shrek was moved by the loaf of bread. He could already tell that they were soulmates.
Pussy.
How do you feel about Bread and ex-Shrek so far?
I feel like Fiona's a crusty, musty looking rat that should be pumped to the moon. I feel like Shrek is a nasty, musty, ugly looking ogre. And then Bread is just an anime type weeb girl that's always fallen for that guy, but she knows that she can't get him. So she writes a fanfic about him, and she knows that she really can't get him in real life. So she cries and weeps about it in real life and writes a Wattpad story so she can get over the fact that he doesn't want her anymore. So she crying in her room and making this, and she feels so happy, but she knows it's never going to be able to come true because she's just a loaf of bread.
Yep. Yep, we love your interview, Chloe.
Yeah.
Now, we will be making another video exactly right after this, by like 2 seconds, about Chapter 4. How do you feel about Chapter 4?
I don't know what it's about.
I know, but how do you think it's gonna go so far?
I think that she's gonna be an anime weeb that's a crusty, musty looking moldy bread. And she gonna probably.
Do you think she's gonna get mold before she marries Shrek in the future and has half bread, half ogre kids with Shrek?
Yes, she gonna write that. Maybe she might write some smut about that. It could be sus. Who knows? Because she knows she can't really get laid.
Exactly.
Because she's just a bread.
Yeah, she's just a loaf of bread.
Even he's like, crusty, musty looking bread. I know. I know.
Alright, we'll see y'all later. Alright, guys, so we are back for Chapter 4. And Chloe, we already did your interview.
Like 3 to 4 times.
About the bread.
The crusty, musty looking bread.
And Shrek and Fiona. So
the
today,
and the crusty Shrek eating sewage water monster.
Yeah. And this time it has a warning sign for 18 plus. So you guys are about to hear or just about to hear some trauma.
Now we know she don't get laid for sure when she writing this. No bitches, no men, no women, nada. That's why she's crying in her room right now, thinking of that anime weeb called
not even
herself.
Not even an alien would date her.
No,
not even an alien.
He wouldn't even want to probe her either.
Exactly.
He'd be like, one look over, what is that? That's a new creature. Run away. Run away, guys. Retreat back into the ship. Not this crusty, musty looking bread with the mold and getting cancer.
Alright. Warning. Very graphic content. Please do not read if you are under the age of 18. Third person POV. The bread was blushing as much as a loaf of bread could. It waited for Shrek to reach the kitchen. That's when he would finally be with his lover. When Shrek reached the kitchen, he looked at the loaf of bread straight in the eye as he opened the cupboard and pulled out a toaster. Shrek slammed the toaster on the counter and forcefully plugged it into the socket on the wall.
Hey, yo, sus.
The way I'm casually reading this too. No. Okay, guys, we are back. It took us to chapter 5. Hold up. Okay, we're back. Shrek picked up a knife and slowly brought it down to the loaf of bread. Slowly pushed the knife down into the loaf of bread. The loaf of bread would have made a noise, but it could not talk, as it is a loaf of bread. Shrek picked up the slice of bread that he cut off and brought it to the toaster. When he dropped the bread in the toaster, he could already feel the heat engulf it. The bread was in agony. It spent 2 whole minutes in that toaster. It had felt like an ages, but suddenly the toaster popped up. It sent him flying out of the toaster. The bread looked down at its body, which was now crispy and a dark brown color.
Ew. Crispy. You better change that to dusty, musty. Also, that's racist. That's racist.
The bread was happy, and it hoped Shrek liked it too.
Nah, he probably died on the inside. He doesn't want to date her that well. He just crying in the corner on the inside, like, please God, leave this. Let me leave this bread, please. Just throw it out the window, please. I pray to God, please take me away from this woman. This ain't a woman. It's an animated object.
Do you think the bread would become pregnant and have children, and Shrek would be the daddy?
No. I think he'd be crying in the corner and just leave to go get the milk.
Alright. Well, we will see y'all for chapter 5, aka the last chapter of this entire Wattpad. So yeah, see y'all. Alright, guys. We are back for chapter 5, aka the last chapter. Chloe, we already did your interview in the last part, and she is just about to fall asleep. So yeah.
That crunchy, musty looking bread with the moldy ass.
But yeah.
Haircut. She probably has a bowl cut. One of those thin looking haircuts.
So it says this will be the last chapter, Bread's POV. Shrek and the loaf of bread have been together for several years now. They were now standing at the altar at their wedding with a loaf of bread stared in awe as it saw its soon-to-be husband walking down the aisle. Shrek was wearing a beautiful gown. The bread would have teared up in sight if it had a tear ducts, whatever that says. When Shrek got to the end of the aisle, it looked at his lover with the tears in his eyes and said, "I love you." The loaf of bread was overwhelmed with emotion. He could tell that his friends and family, and even that very, very bad person, Fiona, supported their relationship. All of their friends knew they were in love. Do you, Shrek, take this bread to be your lawfully wedded spouse? I do. Do you, nameless loaf of bread, take Shrek to be your lawfully wedded husband? The loaf of bread did not respond, as it is a loaf of bread. Now pronounce your I now pronounce you husband and bread. So that is an extremely effed up fan fiction. Shout out to Liam for the idea. I have a friend named Liam. That's kind of creepy, okay. Alright, so we will see you guys later. Chloe's asleep right now. But yeah, we will see you guys later if I even end up doing this again. Alright, see y'all.